Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. And today, I just got back from seeing the Expend4bles 4 or Expend4bles, however you want to call it. I don't know. It's what they called the Fantastic Four reboot Fan 4 stick. So they did the same thing for the title of this film. Weirdly enough. Well, I'm going to say right off the bat, this movie was way better than Fan 4 Stick. It felt a little bit like a return to form. I mean, for one, they gave back the R rating to the series after that blunder that was Expend4bles 3. Which, that one wasn't even that bad. It's just that they dumbed it down to a PG-13 rating. And one of the main draws of the franchise was the ultra violence. It was supposed to be a throwback to the old 80s action B movies, and it was supposed to have a ton of blood and guts and swearing in it. And I remember reading that the Expend4bles 2 cut out all the F-bombs mostly due to Chuck Norris's involvement. But they still kept all the blood and gore in it. And then Expend4bles 3 happened, where they just made it PG-13 for some reason. But anyway, I walked into Expend4bles 4 hoping that this would be a great movie, and it's pretty good. It still has some flaws. Although in my opinion, the good outweighs the bad, even though I'm gonna be talking a lot about my problems with the film. But to start off with, the action is great all around, for the most part. Jason Statham's great, as always, as Lee Christmas. Sylvester Stallone does a pretty good job as Barney. I mean, I kind of have to talk about spoilers when I talk about Barney, so I'll talk about his character a little bit later. Dolph Lundgren is back, and so is Randy Coter, I think his name is. I don't know, but both of them have been in all the movies, and so far, those are the only 4 characters who have been in all of them. But the newcomers are okay. I think they're passable at best, forgettable at worst. I honestly don't care about Megan Fox's character. Same with 50 Cent. I don't care about that one blonde chick named Lash, or that one other character who idolizes Barney. In fact, I actually think that that guy is the most annoying one. The one who just gushes about how Barney's his hero, and even the characters in the movie, they say that he never shuts up. And I know that's supposed to be intentional, but I just found his whole character just cringeworthy, especially because he never actually did anything. Because he never really did anything worthwhile in the film. There's this one character who I can't even remember what his name was, but he was really cool. He ends up looking a little bit sort of like Nightwolf, for anyone who's played the Mortal Kombat games. When he joins the Expend4bles later on in the film, he gives himself a look that looks a lot similar to Nightwolf's character in the Mortal Kombat video games, and I think it looks great. I feel like there's not much to talk about, without going into spoilers. Okay, I think that I guess this is gonna be a really short review, because I've already talked about the characters and the action. Those are pretty much the 2 biggest things here. The music is okay. The effects are meh. I kind of already knew that they were using CGI blood in a lot of scenes, and a lot of times it's insanely obvious. Like, it looks nowhere close to being real, which is a shame, because, well, the old action movies that the Expend4bles are supposed to pay tribute to, like the old 80s films, they always used practical effects. So it's a shame that this is what they've been reduced to. But it's not just the CGI blood either. I probably should have double-checked this before making this review, but I think they also green screened some of the backgrounds, because that's what it looks like. For a lot of scenes, like both at the very beginning and at the very end. Like at the very beginning, there's some certain sequences where the original Expend4bles are using these sort of like basically jeeps or some kind of armored vehicle with turret gunners on the top. And every time it looks like they green screened the background to make it look like they were really fast. And even if they didn't do green screen, it just looks off to me. So if it was green screen, then I don't know why they did that. And the same thing is at the very end, where so most of the film takes place on this like aircraft carrier or some kind of ship, right? And well, yeah, basically the entire film takes place on that one ship, which I feel like it made the film seem like smaller than what it really was, because the main plot is basically about like stopping the villains from detonating this nuclear bomb and starting World War III, right? But it all takes place on this ship, so it all feels like really small scale. At least to me it does. But going back to the effects, like, it doesn't really feel like the background was green screened. Like I said, if they didn't use green screen, then I don't know why it looks so bad. And if they did, then I don't know why they decided to do that, because, like, I don't know if this is because I've just watched more, I don't know if this is because, like, I've just watched more Star Wars and Marvel films now, and, like, I've started to notice all of the bad CGI. I'm still gonna say that the worst instance of this is gonna be Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, because that one has, like, the most obvious, right? But I gotta say, like, in terms of how obvious the effects were and the CGI was, I'd say that this would be a runner-up. Or at the very least, like, even if they didn't use green screen for those backgrounds, it sure as hell looked like it. But aside from CGI and the effects, this is the final thing I'm gonna say before I actually go into spoilers. The film was a little bit predictable. Like, a certain character supposedly dies, and I immediately thought, like, oh, he faked his death, and turns out I was right. And to the film's credit, I did kind of forget about it until I remembered that the trailers for the film showed segments at the very end with that same character. So obviously he wasn't going to die. And also concerning the main bad guys. So the person who's shown as, like, the main antagonist of the film, named Ramat, I think. He's played by a guy named Aiko Uwai. if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And if his name sounds familiar, he was the main character in the Raid films, as well as the one that I remember him from is Stuber. But the Raid films are great. Like, they're some of the best action films I've seen of all time. Like, the martial arts done in that, like, it's even better than, like, most American action films. But Iko Uwai who was supposed to be the main antagonist of this film, and it's revealed kind of early on that he has this, that there's this sort of like secret bad guy that he's working for named Ocelot, right? And, well, this is where I get into spoilers, because, well, the only, like, very, very early on, before they board the ship, this one, like, CIA handler named Andy Garcia, the actor is Andy Garcia. He makes it known that he's going to board the ship with them. And as far as we've seen throughout the film, he's just a handler. He's not like some badass Marine or anything. Like, so what's he gonna do? So I kind of realized very early on that, like, oh, he's probably going to be like the secret villain. And lo and behold, I'm right. So, there, spoiler alert, Andy Garcia is secretly the main bad guy of the film. Which is kind of a shame, because I'll be honest, I can't remember who the villain was of the first Expend4bles, but the bad guys of Expend4bles 2 and 3 I thought were great. Mel Gibson was alright, but having Jean-Claude Van Damme play the main antagonist in Expend4bles 2, and his name in the movie is literally villain, just pronounced differently, I thought was awesome. And I'm not even that big of a fan of Van Damme, like, or at least I haven't seen a lot of his films. But I mean, he's one of the reasons why Expend4bles 2 is still my favorite of the series. But anyway, since I already spoiled who the main bad guy is, I might as well talk about the other elephant in the room. They tried to fake out that Barney dies, Sylvester Stallone's character. And like I said earlier in this review, I called bullcrap, because, like, no way they would kill him off that quick. And once again, I was right, because, and again, to the film's credit, I forgot about this in the trailers, that there was a specific scene at the end that Barney is a part of that they already played in the trailers. So they basically spoiled their own film. So, fine. Whatever. And really, the only other negative that I had, well, okay, there's actually two, and one of them is a story thing, and I'll admit, like, this isn't exactly uncommon for the Expend4bles films, because, like, they only have 4 recurring characters in throughout the franchise. Like, they got Stallone, Statham, that Randy guy, and Dolph Lundgren, and that's it. Everybody else, like, they keep on rotating in and out. Like, I'm pretty sure that Mickey Rourke was in the first film. Like I said, Chuck Norris was in the second. And Ronda Rousey was in the third. And those are the ones who I can remember off the top of my head, right? So, anyway, Megan Fox is Jason Statham's girlfriend in this. And at some point between Expend4bles 3 and 4, she also became part of the team and part of Barney's team. And for some reason, after Barney fakes his death, the CIA handler puts Megan Fox in charge. And I do get the plot point that that the team kind of blames Jason Statham, Lee Christmas, for Barney's death because Lee Christmas disobeyed a direct order from him. However, I don't understand why they make Megan Fox the leader. Why not Dolph Lundgren or Randy? I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. I guess you could say 50 cents, right? And then the last thing, it's a really small nitpick, but at the very beginning of the film, it opens up with Iko Usai and like his gang of like terrorists. They break into the compound of a general in Libya, and while they're searching for like these detonator cores or whatever for a nuclear bomb, Ramat Iko he threatens the general's son right after killing his wife. And I mean, first of all, props to the movie for going dark like that to not only threaten but also kill a kid. However, this is kind of gonna suck because it kind of sucks to knock on child actors, but whoever played the general's kid in the first 5 minutes of this film, I think is some of the worst child acting I've seen. And the reason why is because while the kid is being threatened and like he's being held at gunpoint and his father is crying in front of him, the kid has like no reaction, no emotion. Like he just stares blankly at his dad. Even his mom is lying on the ground. Even his mom is lying on the ground, dead next to him, and he doesn't even blink. And I honestly think that if I don't know if this was because of the direction or if it was just the kid, but I feel like in any kind of situation, if your mom got killed and her corpse was right next to you and your dad was begging for both of your lives and he was forced to basically hand over something to terrorists at gunpoint, I feel like as a kid, like you would be completely devastated, like bawling your eyes out, begging your dad to basically like give the bad guys whatever they want, right? But the whole time the kid is just standing there like with a blank expression. But again, that's just me. But that's really it for this review. I honestly went a little bit quicker than I thought. Like I said, the good outweighs the bad, although I do think it's by a bit of a slim margin. Like if they botched the action and all of the blood and gore, like if the action scene sucked and it was still a PG-13, then I'd say that the movie wasn't worth it. But I'd say this was a pretty fun movie to go and see. I actually ended up having the theater all to myself today, which is surprising because I'm pretty sure this was opening day, but that should probably tell me how much money this is gonna make. But anyway, that's it for this review. If you're not a big fan of the Expend4bles, I'd probably recommend like you just wait until it gets on streaming. But it was still a fun movie regardless, so still pretty good in my book. Oh, and one more thing. I did end up reading that apparently this was supposed to be Stallone's last Expend4bles film, and Statham was ready, and Statham was going to take over. And honestly, despite all the good that I said about this movie, I feel like if that's the case, then they probably should have just stayed at 3. And that's purely because Stallone is barely in this film. Like, he fakes his death and then he shows up at the end. So, again, that's just my 2 cents, but still a great movie. Well, still a pretty good movie. I'd just probably watch it on Netflix instead of seeing it in the theater. So just keep that in mind. Like, just know what you're getting into, and definitely don't expect it to be as good as like the Expend4bles 2. And I'll see you guys in the next review. Because for me, the Halloween season is starting early with Saw X. So I'll see you guys next week for that one.